Rory Jennings, passionate Chelsea fan. Do you love Mauricio Pochettino? Do you love your manager?
No, I do not. No, I'm far closer to the reverse emotion with regard to that question. No, absolutely not. I desperately want him out of Chelsea. I don't think he should have ever been appointed. I think he is a terrible Chelsea manager. I think that the way that he is given a kind press doesn't make any sense to me. If you compare the way that maybe Frank Lampard was treated when he was Chelsea manager, people would constantly ridicule him. People would constantly demand that he wasn't at the helm, and people with fairly privileged situations, people who had a decent following, maybe certain journalists in broadsheet newspapers, they would happily call for the head of Frank Lampard. That doesn't seem to be happening with Mauricio Pochettino, and I don't quite understand the bias. I don't quite understand why. But for me, I think he desperately needs to be sacked. He's clearly not good enough for the job. And Chelsea, until he is sacked, Chelsea won't be harmonious. Like, we are in that clip there that we just heard, he was speaking about his relationship with the fans. That man has done nothing to try and build a relationship with the fans. So if you use a case study of a good manager that had a good... Let's use Jurgen Klopp as a case study. Everything that Jurgen Klopp does is designed to try and unify, to try and build a togetherness, to try and build an us versus them culture, to try and build a backs against the wall, make sure everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet, and make sure that the entire team and the entire club are all fighting for one another, prioritising one another. And he does that in a number of ways. He does that in the way that he speaks to the press. He does that in the way that he has a rapport with the fans. You know, when Jurgen Klopp does his fist bumps, people from outside the club mock it. But the point of that isn't about what Manchester United or Chelsea fans think about it. It's what it does to Liverpool. It's a galvanising effect. When he had the players celebrating that 2-2 draw with West Brom, it was to demonstrate a togetherness, to get everybody on the same side. Mauricio Pochettino has never once clapped the Chelsea fans, never once gone out of his way to try and forge any sort of relationship with the Chelsea fans. Literally never, ever acknowledged them. What he has done is, regardless of who we've played, there may be a former Tottenham player in that team. He will seek them out. He will make sure to go and cuddle the former Tottenham player. He'll make sure to go and give them his best wishes. He will also talk on the eve of us playing Tottenham. Tottenham are our biggest rival by a distance. So when Chelsea are going to Tottenham, we're not playing very well. At the time, they'd played 10-1-8. They were top of the league. We were nervous. We were worried. We're always very confident when we go to White Hart Lane because we have such a good track record there, and historically, it's been a very easy place for us to go. But we were worried this time. Mauricio Pochettino, on the eve of that game, has had the audacity to come out and talk about how he wishes to be Tottenham manager one day. That's disgraceful. That's unforgivable. It's actually sackable. Like, regardless of results, his responsibility is to build a relationship with Chelsea fans. His responsibility is to behave in a way that is fit for being the Chelsea manager, not flirt with Tottenham Hotspur on the eve of us playing them, our biggest rival. So no, I desperately want Pochettino sacked. I think he's a distinctly average manager, and I look forward to the day. The only good thing that I think came from the weekend, there is one positive to drawing with Brentford. Like, such an embarrassing result, but there is one positive to drawing with a team who have won, 2 out of 13 games? Taken 6 points out of the last 64 available, something like that. The positive is that I think it's over for Pochettino. I believe there's no way back. Because once you lose the away fans at any club, the loudest song sung at the G-Tech was a profanity around Pochettino. The loudest song, the only song that was actually audible on the telly, was a profane chant about Mauricio Pochettino, and actually one about the owners. So I believe now that there is just no way back for Pochettino. So the one good thing to come from that pitiful result with the G-Tech is the Pochettino experiment that should have never started is now over.
Okay, so that's the relationship off-field with the fans. Let's dive in a bit tactically. You say you don't think he's fit for the job. Does he have the squad that he needs, or is it him as a manager that he can't deliver with what he's got available to him?
I think all of the above, Topsy. Everything that you just said there is accurate, I believe. I think that he has been dealt not a particularly kind hand. You know, he certainly hasn't got aces. He's been given a team that is rudderless, far too young, not balanced. There's issues with the squad, no doubt. But let's play a game here, because obviously I have a bias on this. But maybe I can ask you. If I ask you now, can you please identify what Chelsea's Pochettino or Pochettino's Chelsea looks like? So the Chelsea team that Pochettino has now had for the best part of a season, he's had a full pre-season, he's signed players. What is the identity of our team? So, if I said, what's the identity of Newcastle United? You'd answer that, wouldn't you? They're very intense. They play on the front foot. They try and be defensively sound. It's not a million miles away from Diego Simeone's setup, which would be fair to assume is part of the Eddie Howe journey. But let's play a game. Tell me, what do you believe is Mauricio Pochettino's approach to Chelsea?
Put me on the spot there, haven't you? I mean,
is there one?
From what I've seen watching Chelsea, they have pace.
Mm-hmm.
I think they like to try and be compact and then try and play teams on the counter. I think one thing that you've touched on they struggle from is a lack of ruthless quality in that they create chances, they don't take them, and they're very easy to pick apart.
See, I think you've done brilliantly there to answer that question, genuinely, because if you'd asked me that question, I wouldn't have had an answer.
You just said
I don't know. I think that you've done incredibly well there, because if you ask me, Pochettino's Chelsea, who are they? I don't really know. I don't really know. I don't think that we have an identity. I don't think that we have a style of play. I don't think that we have any personality. I think that this is from the manager. I think he's cowardly. He's incredibly cowardly. If you look at his substitutions, they're all built on the premise of not losing rather than winning. We're not trying to win. We're trying to not lose, which is a cowardly approach. Playing Liverpool in a cup final, the Liverpool kids, by the way, playing the Liverpool D team. I'll be totally frank with you. I love football. I play football a lot. I talk about football for a living. I'm very lucky. I talk about football for fun all day long. I didn't know half the players Liverpool brought on. I didn't know who they were.
Neither did I.
I didn't know who they were, right? I literally didn't know who they were. So when we played their D team, and we're the team looking for penalties, it's cowardly.
Yeah, should have won
that's not me being hard. If I say something like he's cowardly, or I call him a loser, I don't mean it in the emotive sense of the word. I don't mean in a playground insult being a loser. I mean literally the guy loses is what I mean. When I talk about him being a coward, I think it's a very emotive term and it sounds really harsh. But I'm using the word not in an emotional sense, not as an insult. I'm using it to demonstrate the characteristics that I witness. He is a coward and he is a loser and he is the Chelsea manager ridiculously.
There we go. I had one more question. Well, I had two, but I think I'm going to pick one to ask you. Is this, because a lot has happened with Chelsea, transitional, new ownership, new manager. Is this just where they are at the minute and they need to get through this and get back to the Chelsea that I guess you remember that were always competing for titles, that had your John Terrys and your Drogbas? Is this just their painful transitional moment?
No. I think
no.
what needs, there's a sad admission coming here. I think that me and you need to redefine who Chelsea are. I imagine that you're of similar age to me, you're a Liverpool fan. You and I remember like the battles that we had going for European glory, both for semi-finals. You win some, we win some, playing each other in cup. I don't think I imagine that most people would have looked at Chelsea as a team capable of anything, winning games where the odds were against us. We're not that anymore. We're a mid-table team with ambitions of winning the odd cup. It's 1996 all over again.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.